You ever notice how some families pick favorites like it's a sport? Like there's a scoreboard no one talks about, but everyone checks. In mine, Benjamin was the MVP. And I was the guy who kept the scoreboard plugged in. My mom loved to brag that we were a house full of talent. What she meant was, Benjamin was talented. I was good with tools. He was the AP student, the Ivy League kid, the chess prodigy turned startup founder. His school photos went on the fridge. Mine went in a folder. He got a brand new car on his 16th birthday. I got a reminder to start saving for mine. But I didn't get jealous. Not at first. Because when you grow up as the second son, you learn early how to be useful. I couldn't outshine Benjamin, so I became the one who kept things running. Changed the light bulbs. Fixed the garbage disposal. Helped Grandma set up her Wi-Fi even though she kept calling the router the Google box. My mom once joked at a barbecue that if Benjamin was the brain, I was the wrench. Everyone laughed. I smiled, handed my dad a beer, and went back to patching the screen door. I got so used to being background support that I didn't notice how deep it went until I hit my 20s and realized something. They only called me when something broke. Not for holidays. Not to catch up. But when the dryer made a noise or the toilet wouldn't flush. And I always showed up. Because part of me thought maybe this time, they'll say thank you like they mean it. Spoiler, they didn't. Meanwhile, Benjamin's mistakes got turned into milestones. He dropped out of Yale after one semester. To chase innovation. My parents framed it like he'd cured a disease. He once tried launching an app that delivered toast, only toast, and Mom called it brilliant. When I launched my HVAC business out of a rusty van with a borrowed ladder and a stack of flyers, she said, "Well, at least you'll always have work." Thanks, Mom. But I kept grinding. I took every job I could. Early morning calls, emergency breakdowns, apartment complexes that hadn't seen maintenance since the 90s. I saved, reinvested, learned on the job, hired 2 guys from trade school, then a third when things got steady. I got the logo on my truck, bought a second one, and even moved into a decent one-bedroom with working plumbing and windows that locked. It wasn't glamorous. But it was mine. And not once, did my mom say she was proud. She'd ask if I could look at their water heater though. One time she introduced me at a dinner party as our practical son, he's so good with his hands, in the same tone you'd use to describe a golden retriever that can roll over. And Benjamin? He walked in late, kissed her on the cheek, and she lit up like it was Christmas morning. No offense to golden retrievers, but after a while, I stopped wagging my tail. So when I got the invite to Benjamin's welcome back dinner at La Reverie, this swanky downtown spot where valet looks at your car like it's not worthy, I already knew what it was. Not a family dinner. Not a celebration of all of us. Just another stage for Benjamin. "Can't wait to see both my boys together again," Mom said over the phone. "It's going to be such a special night." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Sure," I said. Special. I already knew how the night would go. La Reverie wasn't just a restaurant. It was the kind of place that whispered old money, even if your credit card screamed otherwise. Gold accents. Floor-to-ceiling wine walls. Staff that spoke in soft, confident tones, like your order was being relayed to a Michelin inspector in real time. When I pulled up in my work van, still had my company's logo slapped across the side. "Carter Climate Control, we keep it cool." The valet paused for just a second too long. He looked at the keys like they might have grease on them. "Sir," he said carefully, "is this your vehicle?" "No," I said. "I just borrowed it from Batman." He didn't laugh. Just nodded like I'd confirmed his worst suspicion and handed me a paper ticket like it owed him something. Inside, the hostess greeted me with the kind of smile reserved for +1s who weren't listed. "Party name?" "Carter," I said. "Oh." Her voice brightened like she was pretending to recognize it. "Right this way. The family's already seated." Of course they were. They picked a long table near the back, half under a skylight. Mom was in pearls. Dad in some blazer that screamed midlife promotion. Benjamin, naturally, in all black, sipping something clear from a glass that probably cost more than my drill set. He stood up when he saw me, arms out like I was a long-lost cousin from a documentary. "Nate," he said. "You made it, man." I didn't say anything. Just pulled him into the world's most casual hug, one of those awkward, shoulder-slap deals that feel like a business transaction with emotional tax. "Wouldn't miss it," I muttered. The chairs were arranged like a battlefield. Benjamin at the head. Mom to his right. One empty seat beside her, obviously meant for me. I slid in and smiled politely. Mom kissed my cheek. "So glad you came, sweetheart." "Yep. Got off a job site early just for you guys." "Oh." She laughed like that was charming. "Still doing the heating thing?" "Still doing the thing that built this shirt, paid for this dinner, and installed half the HVAC systems in this part of town?" "Yeah," I said. "Still making cold air blow where people want it." Dad cleared his throat. "Benjamin was just telling us about his new venture." "Something about, what was it again, Ben?" Benjamin leaned back, steepling his fingers like a TED Talk was about to begin. "We're democratizing private chef access. Think Uber for high-end dining. Subscription-based." Mom gasped like he'd reinvented the calendar. "Oh my gosh! That's genius!" "I know, right?" Benjamin smiled. "One of the guys from the Toast app is backing us." I took a sip of water and said nothing. Didn't mention that his Toast app backer was the same guy who'd hired me last month to fix his busted wine fridge. Or that he tipped me $100 and asked if I had a cousin who wasn't afraid of tools. Didn't mention anything. Because I knew my role. Smile. Nod. Eat quietly. Maybe toss in a charming one-liner to remind them I had a pulse. The waiter came around with menus. "Will anyone be joining you later?" he asked. "No," Mom said quickly. "Just us." "Very good. May I offer our reserve wine list?" She waved him off. "We'll take a bottle of the 06 Bordeaux. Benjamin's favorite." He hadn't even opened the menu yet. The guy could have said he wanted sparkling grape juice, and she would have started a vineyard in the backyard. As the waiter walked off, Mom leaned toward me. "You look tired, sweetheart. Are you taking care of yourself?" "Yeah," I said. "I just run a business. You know, like some people launch apps, I replace furnaces." "Very glamorous." She blinked. Missed the sarcasm entirely. "I always say you have a real-world skill set." "Yeah," I said. "People love when the heat works." Benjamin smiled like he was indulging a charming story from someone's gardener. "Oh man, remember when you used to fix Dad's old laptop with duct tape? I remember fixing your car when you forgot oil changes were a thing." He laughed. "Classic me." The appetizers arrived. Mom made a toast, nothing dramatic. Just some vague line about celebrating success and homecomings. But I noticed something. She looked at Benjamin when she said, "Success." And me when she said, "Home." I cut into my overpriced salad and told myself to let it slide. But it was already happening again. The glances. The hierarchy. The assumption that I was just lucky to be invited. And somewhere between the second round of wine and the start of Benjamin's monologue about brand positioning, I realized this dinner wasn't for me. It was about me. About how good it looked to have both sons at the table. Even if only one of us was ever allowed to speak. By the time entrees hit the table, Benjamin was deep into a story about how he, accidentally, ended up at a yacht party with a guy from Shark Tank. "I wasn't even supposed to be there," he said, slicing into a steak that looked like it had a better upbringing than I did. "But I started talking about the app and boom, they offered to fly me out to Miami next week." Mom's eyes sparkled like a jewelry case under spotlight. "That's my boy," she beamed. I stabbed at my risotto. It tasted like someone cooked ambition in water and forgot the salt. Dad chimed in. "Nathan, you been anywhere recently?" "Yeah," I said. 2 attic crawl spaces, 3 moldy basements, and 1 guy's ceiling collapsed on me. So that was fun." They chuckled politely. Benjamin smirked. "Man, I don't know how you do it. I'd lose my mind stuck under houses all day." "You'd lose your lawsuit," I muttered. He blinked. "What?" "Nothing," I said. "Just HVAC humor. You wouldn't get it." There was a beat of silence. A long, stretching pause where nobody knew whether to laugh or not. And that's when Mom picked up her wine glass. She rose from her chair, glowing like she was accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award in motherhood. Okay, I just want to say how grateful I am," she began. "Having both of my boys here tonight, it means so much." Benjamin grinned like it was a product launch. "And I know we don't always say it enough, but family is everything. Through thick and thin. Through success." She looked at Benjamin. "And support." Then at me. I felt my stomach tighten, but I kept my face neutral. She raised her glass a little higher. "To my miracle son." Benjamin nodded proudly. "And to my spare son." The room paused. Even Benjamin winced. Dad looked like he wanted to crawl into the wine bottle. "Always dependable." She finished like that somehow made it better. Couldn't have one without the other. The glasses clinked. Except mine. I didn't raise it. Didn't blink. Didn't say a word. Just stared at her, then at Benjamin, then back at my plate. The silence was thick, heavy like the insulation I install in July. The waiter shuffled over, trying to pretend he hadn't just heard a woman toast her own child like a discounted household appliance. Would anyone care for dessert? Mom jumped in too fast. Yes. The chocolate soufflé. Benjamin's favorite. Of course it was. I wiped my mouth, folded my napkin slowly, and stood up. Everyone looked up at once, like I'd set off a smoke alarm. "I'll cover the check," I said, calm and quiet. No, honey," Mom began, clearly flustered. "I've got it," I said again, already reaching for my wallet. The waiter blinked. "Are you sure, sir?" "Yeah." "Let me see the bill." He handed it over like it was a secret file from the Pentagon. I didn't flinch. Just slid my card in the leather holder and signed. Then I turned to Benjamin. "Good luck in Miami," I said. Turned to my mom. "Thanks for the toast." And I walked out. Not angry. Not storming. Just done. Because in that moment, hearing my own mother label me as a spare like I was a tire you keep in the trunk in case something breaks, I realized something. I wasn't the spare. I was the only one who ever showed up when it mattered. I didn't head straight home after leaving La Reverie. Instead, I sat in my van for a bit, staring at the glowing parking meter like it might have something wise to say. It didn't. Just blinked, expired. Like it was mocking me. The restaurant glowed behind me. Warm lights, soft music, people clinking forks over $80 plates. From the outside, it looked perfect. Inside? I'd just been toasted like a backup generator. And I couldn't even be mad. Not really. Because the worst part wasn't that she said it. It was that I believed it, for too long. I almost drove off. But then I remembered something. The waiter. That kid, barely 20, probably working doubles to cover tuition, had looked like he wanted to crawl under the table when she said, "Spare son." And something about that stuck. So I turned the key, stepped back out, and walked through the front entrance like I owned the place. The hostess blinked. "Sir, can I help?" "Just forgot something," I said. The waiter was near the kitchen, clearing plates. "Hey," I said. He straightened. "Yes, sir? You're the one who took care of our table, right?" He looked unsure. Yes?" "Good service." "Thank you," he said cautiously. I hope everything was okay." I pulled out my wallet. Slipped 5 folded bills into his hand. "Here," I said. "That's 10,000. Tip." His jaw dropped. "Wait. I can't. Are you serious?" I nodded. "You can. You earned it. And if anyone gives you crap, tell them to call me. Nathan Carter. I own Carter Climate Control." I turned to go. But he just blurted, "Sir, sorry, I don't mean to be weird, but could I record this? I mean not you handing it to me, just like, you saying something? For my friends? I swear I won't tag you." I shrugged. "Sure," I said. "What do you want me to say?" He fumbled with his phone. "I dunno. Say whatever you want." So I looked into the camera and said, "Tip big. Especially when you've been made to feel small." Didn't plan it. Just came out that way. Then I smiled, patted him on the shoulder, and walked out. Didn't think twice. I didn't even realize he posted the clip. Not until 2 days later, when my phone buzzed off the counter like it was trying to escape. Missed calls. Random texts. Emails from people I hadn't spoken to since high school. And then I saw it. A TikTok. Captioned, "He tipped me $10,000 after his mom called him the spare son." It had 1.3 million views. Comments rolling like an avalanche. "Bro's a legend. That's not a son, that's a king. Imagine raising a man like this and still disrespecting him." It was surreal. The kid never showed my face, just my voice, my hand, the quote. But people pieced things together anyway. Someone recognized the restaurant. Another found my business logo in the background reflection of a wine fridge. And by the 4th day, I had 3 podcast interview requests, a message from a local news station, and a voicemail from Mom. It started like this. "Nathan. I saw something online. Call me. Please." No apology. No mention of what she said. Just that flat, familiar tone she used when things needed cleaning up. I didn't call back. Not because I was angry. Because I wasn't interested in being called when things were broken anymore. By day 5, the video had 4.1 million views. It was on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, everywhere. Someone slowed it down and added piano music. Another made a POV, "You just tipped $10,000 because you're done being disrespected" meme. My quote. Tip big. Especially when you've been made to feel small. It was now on hoodies, stickers, even mugs. A cousin I hadn't seen in a decade posted it to her story with a broken heart emoji and the caption, "Proud of you, Nate." She hadn't invited me to her wedding. My phone was vibrating nonstop. Random people reached out to thank me. HVAC business owners were messaging me like I just started a blue-collar revolution. I even got a follow from a verified chef who offered to cater my next family gathering. Which was funny. Because I was never planning another one. Then the group chat woke up. It had been dead for months, mostly used to coordinate holidays I wasn't really invited to, or send blurry photos of Benjamin with captions like, "Our CEO in action." Now it was suddenly full of life. "Dad, anyone want to explain why our family name is trending?" Benjamin. "It's not that serious. Probably a slow news cycle. We should all just stay calm." Uncle Steve, who once called me Handyman Nate, and asked if I was still doing the little fix-it thing. "Why didn't you tell us you were gonna do that? You made us look like monsters." I didn't reply. Because none of them were texting to understand me. They were texting to manage optics. That's when Mom called. It rang 3 times before I picked up. "Hi." There was a pause. A quiet inhale, like she was trying to compose herself. I could already hear tissues rustling. "Nathan." Her voice cracked. "I saw the video." I stayed silent. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I was nervous. I had wine. I thought it was a cute toast. "Cute?" I said. "Calling your kid the spare in front of strangers?" She sniffled. "I didn't think you'd take it like that." I exhaled slowly. "That's the problem," I said. "You never think I feel anything." More silence. Then she dropped the real reason for the call. "This is hurting us, Nathan. Your father's coworkers are asking questions. Benjamin's board saw the video. His investors." "Ah," I said. "There it is. Nate, please. Can we talk? In person? What would you say that you haven't said already? Or not said ever?" She was full crying now. The kind where you feel it in your teeth. "I didn't mean to make you feel like less." "No," I said. "You meant to make him feel like more. And you did. You still do." She tried again. "I love you. You know that." I closed my eyes. "I used to hope so." Then I said it. Calm. Clear. No raised voice. "You raised a spare. Now I know how to drive on my own." She sucked in a breath like I'd hit her. "Nathan." I ended the call. Didn't slam the phone. Didn't scream. Just sat there, letting the silence settle like dust after demolition. Later that night, Benjamin texted me. "You should have told us you were going to make a scene. We could have handled this better." I stared at it for a while. Then replied, "You never listened when I wasn't a scene." And that was that. No closure. No apology. Just peace. And peace felt a lot louder than their approval ever did. I didn't expect a 10-second quote about tipping to rebuild my entire life. But 2 weeks after the video went viral, my inbox looked like a talent agent's. News outlets wanted interviews. A podcast titled, "Men Who Fix Things," asked me to guest star. A guy with a crypto handle offered to sponsor my vans in exchange for me wearing his brand's hat. I passed. My company, Carter Climate Control, was suddenly booked out 3 months. Terry had to hire 2 temps just to handle the phones. We were turning down work from neighborhoods that used to ghost me. Now they wanted priority booking and emailed us with subject lines like, "ASAP if possible, we saw your boss on TikTok." For the first time since I started this business, I had to pause and ask myself, do I want to expand, or just breathe this in for a while? Because beyond the hype and the memes and the podcast DMs, something deeper happened. For the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing anyone's approval. I wasn't their plan B. Their emotional roadside assistance. The +1 who stayed quiet. I was just me. And it felt weird. Good weird. Like walking into a room you've been locked out of your whole life, and realizing it was already yours. Then came the knock on my door. It was a Thursday night. I'd just finished writing bonus checks for my crew, something I'd never been able to do before. Chinese food was in the microwave. I was in sweatpants and a hoodie with paint on the sleeve. I opened the door. And there she was. Mom. Wearing pearls. Of course. Same kind she wore at the dinner. Same look in her eyes, but without the wine glass this time. "Nathan," she said softly. I leaned against the doorframe. "Hi. I didn't call. I wasn't sure you'd answer." "You guessed right." She smiled, the sad kind, the kind people use when they've run out of speeches. "I just wanted to talk." "You came alone?" She nodded. "I figured Benjamin wouldn't come unless there was a photo op." That got a flinch. She glanced down, fidgeted with her purse strap. "I didn't come to make excuses." I didn't respond. Just waited. I know what I said at dinner was hurtful. And I know I've said worse, in quieter ways. For years. And it wasn't just about that night. It was. She sighed. It was everything. Still, I said nothing. Because sometimes silence is the only way people hear themselves. "I see it now," she whispered. "I see what I made you. What I didn't let you be." I crossed my arms. "You see it, now that everyone else saw it first?" She looked up, eyes shiny. "I see it because I finally stopped looking only at Benjamin." That landed. Harder than I expected. "I'm sorry," she added, voice shaking. "Not for the video. For not seeing you earlier. For acting like being steady wasn't special." The air between us felt thick. I wanted to yell. Cry. Hug her. Slam the door. All at once. But I didn't do any of that. I just nodded. And said, "I'm not mad." Relief flickered across her face. "I'm just full." "Full?" "Yeah," I said. "Of being the one who always makes space." She didn't know what to say to that. So I helped her out. "You should go." Her lips pressed together like she was holding in more apologies. Then she turned and walked to her car. No drama. No parting words. Just 2 people, finally standing on separate pages. That night, I got a letter in the mail. Actual envelope. Stamp. Handwritten address. It was from my grandfather. We hadn't spoken in years. Family fallout, land disputes, and the usual Carter-style quiet exile. But I always liked him. He had this tiny workshop where he fixed old radios. When I was a kid, I'd sit there for hours with him, soldering wires, pretending we were building spy tech. Inside the envelope was a single page. "Saw the clip. Heard the toast. Always knew you were the one with the good hands. And the better head. Proud of you, Nate. Folded inside was a property deed. A lakeside cabin. Hand-signed. Notarized. Needs a new furnace. Figured you'd know someone. The cabin sat on the far side of a quiet lake, tucked behind a gravel road that GPS barely acknowledged. It was nothing fancy. Old shingles, sagging porch, windows fogged from years of silence, but to me, it felt like a fortress. No Wi-Fi. No cell towers. No one asking if I could just take a quick look at their water heater. Just wind, trees, and the low hum of a place that had been left alone, like me, for a very long time. When I stepped inside, it smelled like cedar, old books, and dust with personality. The living room had a sagging couch, a leaning bookshelf, and a broken lamp someone had lovingly tried to fix with electrical tape and hope. I smiled. It was like Grandpa left it for my version of peace. I dropped my bag, cracked a window, and got to work. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I installed a new mini furnace, replaced a few copper pipes, recaulked the leaky kitchen window. I even rewired the old porch light just because it had bothered me the second I saw it flicker. No one was watching. No spare sun commentary. No performance review disguised as small talk. Just me, tools, and time. I spent 2 nights there. No TV. No social feeds. No people. Just a paperback from the shelf and a fire I built myself, which crackled like it was proud of me. And for the first time since that dinner, I felt clear. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need them to grovel. I just needed distance. And this place, this cabin with all its creaky steps and bad insulation, was better than any viral clip or article headline. It was mine now. A gift. A message. A place that whispered, "You were always enough." They just never saw it. When I turned my phone back on Sunday morning, it nearly crashed. 32 notifications. 7 voicemails. 3 from local media. 2 from podcast producers. 1 from some lady who claimed she was writing a book on modern masculinity and family identity, and wanted to quote me. Hard pass. Then I saw the last text. From Benjamin. Not an essay. Not a long-winded apology about perception versus intention. Just 6 words. Hey. I get it now. Sorry. I sat there for a long time, just staring at it. It wasn't nothing. But it also wasn't enough. Because the problem wasn't that Benjamin said nothing for years, it's that when he did speak, it was always about him. And now? Now that the world saw me? Now he gets it? That's the thing about being underestimated. People think saying, "My bad," is enough to rebuild bridges they spent years tearing down. I didn't reply. Instead, I stepped outside. The lake was still. Fog sat low over the water like it was tucking the world in. I poured myself coffee from a thermos, sat in the chair Grandpa once fixed with bent nails and sanded wood, and breathed. The kind of breath you don't get in cities or crowded family dinners. Then I opened my phone again. Typed 1 line. "Next time, don't wait for the internet to tell you I exist." I hit send. Put the phone down. And didn't check for his reply. The thing about going viral? It doesn't last. 1 week you're everyone's favorite underdog. The next, you're replaced by a guy skateboarding with a raccoon on his shoulder. By the 3rd week, the views slowed. The DMs cooled. The news cycle moved on. But I didn't mind. Because I didn't build my life on applause. I built it on foundations. Bolted to the ground. Pipe by pipe. 1 screw at a time. Back at work, things found a rhythm. The jobs were steady. The reviews were glowing. Clients left thank you notes, taped to thermostats. We bought a 3rd truck. Terry renamed it Tipmobile 3000, and painted a tiny crown on the hood when I wasn't looking. I didn't stop by my parents' house. I didn't unblock anyone. I didn't attend the family recenter dinner Benjamin kept trying to organize like it was a TED Talk. I was busy. Too busy building the life they said was Plan B. Too busy to play their game. One afternoon, I returned to the cabin to finish a few touches. Hung new curtains. Reinforced the porch. Framed Grandpa's note and mounted it above the front door. When I stepped outside, the lake looked the same, still, quiet, stubborn. Like it didn't care who noticed it. And for the first time in a long time, I felt the same way. As I locked up to leave, I saw a small package sitting on the porch. No name, just a sticker, property of the spare. Inside was a t-shirt. Gray. Simple. Clean font across the front. Spare. That's it. No note. But I knew who sent it. Terry. Or maybe Grandpa before he passed. Or maybe the universe. I held it up against the fading sun. And I laughed. Because they meant it as a joke. But honestly, I liked it. Because after everything, the silence, the toasts, the labels, I finally understood something. I wasn't the spare because I was second best. I was the spare because I could keep everyone else running when they broke down. And now? I didn't need to be in anyone else's trunk. I had my own road.